Here's a question that I get asked pretty regularly. So, why does one person heal from trauma and another person stay stuck for 10, 20, 30 years? It's not luck. It's not just good therapy or bad therapy. When you actually look at the people who move from surviving to stable, there's a pattern, a specific set of habits that show up again and again. And on the flip side, there's a specific set of patterns, ways of coping that make total sense when the trauma was happening, but quietly keep people stuck long after the danger is gone. And today I'm going to walk you through both lists, what traps people, what frees them. Stick around because number 11 and 12 are the ones that people almost never talk about. So quick note before we start. I'm not your therapist, and this isn't a diagnosis of you or anyone else. So if you are in crisis right now, please call or text 988 in the United States or your local emergency line. Okay, let's get into it. So before we get into the list, here's the one sentence version of what research and clinicians find. It's healing isn't about willpower or a single breakthrough. It's about consistency and a few specific skills built inside a felt sense of safety. So people don't heal by gritting their teeth through exposure therapy once and being done. They heal the same way you build a muscle, small reps, repeated over months. So keep that in mind because everything we cover today falls into that frame. Not fixing yourself, but training a skill that you never got to build before. So let's make sure we're speaking the same language. PTSD comes from a single identifiable event. So an assault, an accident, combat deployment. The core symptoms are re-experiencing the event, avoiding reminders of it, and a nervous system stuck in high alert. Complex PTSD or CPTSD usually comes from repeated or prolonged trauma, childhood neglect, ongoing abuse, captivity, a chronically unsafe household, religious trauma syndrome, hearing over and over that you're going to go to hell. So things that stress you out over and over and over. It has that same PTSD core plus 3 extra layers. So trouble regulating your emotions, a damaged sense of self-worth, and difficulty in close relationships. If a lot of what I described today feels like it applies to relationships and identity, not just flashbacks, that's the CPTSD layer. So both are real, both are treatable. All right, let's get into the patterns. And I want to say this before we start. So every single one of these things that people do made sense at some point. So these aren't character flaws. They were solutions, the best option available to a nervous system that was trying to survive something. The problem is that they outlived their usefulness. And the first one is mood-based living. If the plan depends on how you feel in that exact hour, the plan dies the moment the mood shifts. Nothing gets built because the foundation resets every day. 2 is a shame spiral. A mistake, even a small one, triggers a global verdict. I'm bad, not I did a thing, but I'm the kind of person who does bad things. That verdict produces hiding, and hiding produces more shame. It's a loop. 3 is perfectionism. If anything short of flawless counts as a failure, the safest move is to never start or to quit at the first sign of imperfection. This is often shame's bodyguard. Perfectionism exists to prevent the shame spiral from ever getting triggered in the first place. 4 is hypervigilance and control, constantly scanning for threats, over-managing outcomes, plans, or other people because relaxing feels like taking your hand off the wheel of a car that's about to crash. 5 is fawning, people-pleasing as a survival strategy, abandoning your own needs to keep someone else calm, happy, or attached to you, often so automatically you don't even notice that you're doing it. 6 is avoidance, not just of trauma reminders, but of anything the nervous system files under hard. The phone call, the paperwork, the doctor's appointment. Difficulty gets misread as danger. 7 is emotional flooding, a small trigger, an outsized reaction, what therapists call a narrow window of tolerance. So the emotional gas pedal and the brake are both low broken. 8 is numbing and dissociation. Substances, scrolling, overworking, checking out entirely, anything that turns a feeling down when it gets too loud. 9 is isolation. So that's withdrawing because connection once meant danger or because shame is whispering that you'd just be a burden. 10 is identity fusion with the trauma. So I am my diagnosis, I am my past, instead of I am a person who this happened to. 11, the pull towards comfort over growth. And this is a big one, and it's sneaky because it doesn't always look unhealthy. After living in nonstop threat or overwhelm, the nervous system craves relief now. Sometimes that looks like rest or a treat, and sometimes it looks like a drink, a scroll, staying at a job, or in a relationship purely because leaving feels harder than staying. Either way, the drive is the same. Soothe the discomfort immediately, even if it costs you the bigger goal. And 12 is a fear of abandonment. Staying in relationships that are actively unhealthy, sometimes harmful, because leaving feels more dangerous than staying. The familiar bad relationship can feel safer than the unknown of being alone, especially if early relationships taught that love and danger arrive together. If you just heard 2 or 3 of those and felt a little exposed, that's normal. That's not a diagnosis, that's just recognition. Let's talk about what actually turns each of these around, because that's what we're here for, right? So, same order, same numbers. Here's the counter move for each one of those. Number 1, values-based action instead of mood-based action. So I'll take the small next step whether I feel like it today or not. Huge. This is the entire engine behind behavioral activation. It's one of the most well-supported tools we have. 2, self-compassion instead of shame. Separating the act from the identity. I did a hard thing badly is completely different from I am bad. Practice talking to yourself the way you talk to someone that you love. 3, deliberately practicing imperfect attempts. Redefining success as showing up, not flawless output. This one single reframe undoes a huge amount of avoidance. Number 4, nervous system regulation instead of constant vigilance. Breathwork, grounding, slowly proving to your body in small repeated doses that it's allowed to stand down. 5, boundaries instead of fawning. Practicing a plain no, tolerating someone else's disappointment without collapsing into it. This is a rep you build, not a personality trait that you're born with. 6, gradual approach instead of avoidance. Small paced exposure to the avoided task or feeling, proving piece by piece that discomfort is survivable. 7, widening the window of tolerance. So name the emotion early, pausing before reacting, borrowing calm from a safe person, or practice until you can generate it yourself. 8 is grounding instead of numbing. Notice the urge to check out and reach for a present moment anchor or support instead of the usual escape hatch. 9, chosen connection instead of isolation. So one safe relationship, a support group, a therapist, somewhere to practice trust in small survivable doses. 10, identity as a person with a history instead of the trauma. So narrative work, therapy, writing, EMDR, somatic work, that folds the story into your life instead of letting it run your life. And 11 is tolerating discomfort instead of chasing comfort. Learning to tell the difference between soothing that supports growth, rest, real self-care, co-regulation, and soothing that blocks it, numbing, avoidance, staying small. Practicing sitting with short-term discomfort, the hard conversation, the workout, the boring task, because it leads somewhere more stable than constant relief does. Some people describe this as choosing what you want the most over what you want right now. And 12, building new, mutually healthy relationships instead of clinging to unhealthy ones. Tolerating the grief and fear of leaving or outgrowing something familiar. Practicing the slower work of vetting new people for reciprocity and safety rather than defaulting to whoever's already there. Learning that being alone for a while is survivable, not the worst case outcome that it once was. Notice something? None of these 12 are one-time decisions. They're reps. Nobody does boundary setting once and is cured of fawning. You do it badly, then you do it less badly, then it starts to feel like you. So a few things worth knowing if you want the evidence behind this. Consistency beats intensity. Small daily regulation practices tend to outperform occasional big pushes. Safety comes before processing. A felt sense of safety in the body and in relationships is the prerequisite for trauma processing, not the reward at the end of it. Social support is one of the most consistently replicated predictors of trauma recovery across the research literature. And I see this over and over too. Sometimes literature doesn't line up with what you see, but this one does. So common evidence-based approaches, including trauma-focused CBT, EMDR, somatic experience, and DBT skills for emotional regulation. You're going to hear me say that a lot on this podcast. Recovery isn't linear. Slipping back into old patterns under stress isn't proof that you failed. It's what recovery actually looks like. You do good, and then you fall back, and then you do good, and then you fall back, and then eventually you're keeping the skills that you're practicing. So what I would suggest is, I know that's a lot. So get a transcript, and so you have a list in front of you so you can easily see. It's a lot to take in. And then pick one pattern from the 12 that hit you the hardest. So not all 12. So this week, practice its counter habit exactly just once in a low stake environment. And if it's boundaries, say one small no. If it's tolerating discomfort, sit with one uncomfortable feeling for 60 seconds before reaching for relief. If it's isolation, send one message to a safe person. That's it. One rep. That's it. The whole ask. If any part of this felt like it was describing you, I want to say this. PTSD is not a life sentence. Every pattern on that first list has a matching learnable habit on the second one. People do this, and that's why I'm sharing this. I want to give you the shortcut. People move from stuck to stable, not overnight, not alone usually, but they do it, and there is a process. I'm handing you the cheat sheet. So if you look for support, a trauma-informed therapist or coach is the best next step. And I'll leave a few resources in the description, including The Body Keeps the Score and Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. And if this was useful, subscribe for the next episode where we talk about things just like this. If you're in crisis right now, 988 in the United States or your local crisis line. Take care of yourself. Thanks for being here. See you next time.